I am.
Sorry.
Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. You notice that people are stopping themselves from laughing because already you might tell this is going to be one of the greatest shows you've ever watched in your life. Prepare yourself. You're about to stare into the face of God. This is going to be like the opening of the Ark of the Covenant in Warhammer weekly form. So joining me this week, it's my own little pump wagon. It's Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Hello, friends. How's it going?
It's fun to pick a different grot engine every time. We talk about Orcs
I've
and Goblins.
noticed.
Also joining us, Lord Tremendous. How you doing, sir?
How's it going? Glad to be here.
And also joining us, get ready. Mute it. Here it comes. It is the one, the only, the first time officially on the show as our guest. It's ChiHammer.
What's going on, YouTube?
I warned you. I did warn you.
I didn't know my pants could come off that fast. I'm actually kind of impressed.
Yeah. So I immediately saw the viewer count drop by 1 when you did that because I'm sure somebody just clicked into the show at that second and was like, oh my God, and died. It wasn't that they logged off because it was too loud. It was because you just killed someone. So
Fuck this, man. I have that effect. I get people unsubscribing. I get people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're fine. All right. So, yeah. By the way, I'm echoing again.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah, because the speakers in this house are currently blown.
Yes. At any rate, there you go. It's fine. However it is now. Good. Oh, it's like back and forth. Go get your broken headphones and plug them in while we do this news. So we're going to talk about Orcs and Goblins today and version 1.2. But first up, we're going to talk about the news, of course, as always. Tommy, take us away, buddy.
Yeah, so we'll lead this week with kind of the big news on the scene. It's the Warhammer community site has launched, and it's full of all kinds of things that you would expect. Blogs and painting stuff and news and reviews, although I suspect everything's going to be getting, 5 out of 5 stars or 10 stars on all the reviews, but we'll see.
Sure.
That said,
biased.
Yeah, there may be a little bit of a bias present there. But there was some interesting activity this week that was associated with that, or today actually, in fact, and they just straight up jumped into leaking images.
Yes, I'll share here while you're talking.
It's like community, here's our community site, here's a linked image of something coming. And they're doing it in the bad way of terrible camera angles and blurry images. Hey, look, we can leak things too. So this is one of the new releases that are coming this year.
Next year.
And there are not this year, the beginning of next year. And there's a lot of discussion that this has stirred up as to what this is. I have a definitive, I know what this is.
Okay, Tom. Crack it open for us.
This is some dwarfy thing.
Way to really get to the heart of the matter.
It's Steamhead, or it's Ironweld. It's one of the high-tech dwarves. And the reason why is everybody's pointing to the bottom right corner.
Where you can see the dwarven icon. The
little dwarven icon, the ancestor icon. And that thing's all over a lot of the newer dwarf material, particularly the gyrocopter. But more important, I would argue, is the top left corner. Not that great. The panel. Right there. That panel, that fucking panel, I've painted 8 times. Because it's on the dwarf gyrocopter. On the underbelly of the dwarf gyrocopter. And it's that identical panel. And so this is clearly from the same kind of design CAD stuff that the gyrocopter was. So it's some dwarfy tech. And the language around this leak was something else for the rumor engine or something. Yeah, the rumor engine. And they talked about how they
photography isn't their strong suit.
So this is clearly a dwarf power armor suit. That's what's coming, people.
I would tend to agree with your summation. So there you go. Confirmed for dwarven power armor in 20 in
2070.
now we're doing this. That's fun. Okay, back to you while I fix my camera.
No worries. The other piece of news that dropped this week is that GW kind of got out ahead of the leaks, or as soon as the leak dropped for the new boxes, the larger expanded getting started boxes, GW immediately released the formal pictures for those that are coming in December 3rd. The armies are...
while I'm stuck, I'll just share this as well. Why not?
Why not?
I have
there
that
you go.
too.
Come on, Vince.
I know. There you go. Ta-da!
There you go. Stormcast, Ironjaw, Sylvaneth, and Khorne Bloodbound. These are rumored to be at 100 pounds, which is exactly double the price of the getting started boxes. And so if they take the prior same conversion rate, you're talking $170. If they take the actual new conversion rate of the pound, it's 130. So we'll see. But that said, this is about $300 of models in each of these boxes. And like I was looking at that Ironjaw's box, and it's actually like that Ironjaw's box is everything that doesn't come in the getting started box that's not Gordrak.
Right.
So what's not the centerpiece model? So like buying this Ironjaw's box, buying a getting started Ironjaw's box is going to basically give you everything that you need to start just to do an Ironjaw's force.
Well, and it's the same with the Sylvaneth because you get all your Dryads, and then this adds, your Spite and Tree Revenants, your bunch of Kurnoth Hunters, Drycha, and another Tree Man.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're a good deal. I mean, certainly if you're looking to pick up bulk figs, this is going to be a great way to do it, regardless.
Yeah, if you're interested in any of these forces.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's pretty sweet. Vince, are any of these catching your attention? I mean, I know that you have
3 of these armies.
Yeah.
I already have 3 of these armies, Tom, and they're done. So not a lot of value. By the way,
you're not wanting to jump into to an Ironjaw's force? Go on, we're talking greenskin today. Come on, baby.
I don't need orcs. I'm building I understand that. I love orcs from a distance. I'm building an all giant army. Thank you. So that's my thing.
There's a giant in that box.
Great. I'll give away all the orcs. There is.
Yeah. So it's a giant 10 of the new brutes,
which are great models.
Yeah, the 3 new like boar Gorgrunta riders, which are like the supersized like boar boys. And the 2 of the new heroes as well.
Yeah, the mega knob and the weird knob, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, originally I was trash talking this like 10 minutes ago, and I started actually looking at the numbers on the math on it, and then also like, man, I can pick up this box and just the getting started box and basically have a tight Ironjaw's force, like a complete Ironjaw's force in 2 boxes.
Yeah, you're going to come close to a tight 1,500 to 2,000 point force off of those 2 boxes.
Yeah, and then it's playable. And like I already have, I'm sitting on 30 of the Ard Boys already, like sitting on my shelf. So between that and actually having Grimgore, like I would be done other than Gordrak, like the big centerpiece monster.
While you mentioned Ard Boys, something for you, James, I don't know if you're in the market for more, Iron Orcs, okay? But I don't know if you've seen the orcs that come in the Blood Bowl set yet.
No, I haven't.
They're awesome. Yeah. And I think they've made.
I'm gonna Google this shit right now.
Yeah, you should look them up. I'll see if I can find an image too. But they look like they would be fantastic.
They would convert over very easily.
Yeah, to fantastic Iron Orcs. So like they're wearing cool armor. They're obviously the football players in the game, but their armor just looks like armor. They just look like heavy armored orcs. It looks very like ragtag and like sort of ramshackle, just like metal plates, rammed onto them. And they're nice, good detail. It's cool. They were pretty sweet. And I imagine the bit sites will break them up so you can buy just the, like the orc force or just the human force or whatever. So, yep. There you go.
So that's kind of the big rumors this week. Did I miss anything, Vince?
You missed this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, something's coming like in a couple days.
And it's a shoulder pad and maybe an earlobe. This looks like some kind of blade. You decide. We don't know what this is related to. This was just posted.
See, GW is just like just taking this bull by its horns of like, we're doing community new special release every 2 days. Go.
Yeah, we've realized that people like to talk about stuff. And look, I appreciate it, GW. Yeah. I got to fill airtime here, folks. So, hey, thanks. It's good stuff.
Thanks.
Keep it up.
It's probably like those puzzles you would get as kids where you got to move the squares over and build the whole picture.
Right. Right, exactly.
Yes.
I hope that's the actual release. I hope it is literally just they're going into a weird puzzle business. They're returning to their 1975 Games Workshop launch roots where they made weird, like handcrafted games. Yes, that's what's coming. Big deal. Nobody saw that coming, I guarantee. They really threw them off the trail with 40 years of Warhammer.
Well, it'd be like that Specialist Games announcement last year around this time.
Sure.
Like nobody saw that one coming.
Sure, that's fair. So did we? Oh, did you have anything else? Do we have
No, I think for Warhammer, I think for AOS, I think that's it. Did you have some 9th shoots, Vince?
I did. So I wanted to talk about two things. I'm going to leave it on Tom right now since I have to go mess with my camera.
That's what she said.
Hey-oh.
Or he said. The fuck?
Yeah,
Wait, leave it on me? Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
So the Tabletop Miniature Solutions. Now, Lord T, I know you've been repping these guys hard. And if for everybody who hasn't seen it, this is not going to be my pick of the week. But for everybody who hasn't seen it, go watch their most recent update where they show the Undying Dynasty's newest figures that they finished.
Yeah.
LT, James, did you watch this vid?
Yes.
Are you talking about the Sphinx? So the Sphinx, the battle Sphinx?
They show the Shabti.
Yes.
They show the Sphinx. They show.
Thanks, Vince. You ruined my pick of the week. I hate you.
That's funny. Take that. And so that's fine, Tom. They go through them and they look freaking awesome. I mean, what'd you guys think? Did you like them?
It makes me want to start the Undead again, just for the Upshati and the Sphinx model that they've made. Yep. But I'm currently putting together a Sarn Ancient army, and if I switch it out now, it'll never happen. And it's just, no, the wife will kill me. And I like to live. I got stuff to do tomorrow.
That's understandable.
Yes, it is amazing, amazing stuff. And that's a good company, too. I mean, they do really cool, what's it called? Movement trays and magnetic bases, customized bases and stuff like that. I really like their stuff a lot. I don't buy enough of their stuff. I need to buy more.
The Winged Reaper was the other one, by the way.
That's what it was. Yes.
Oh, kind of a somewhat semi-related sale. Frontline Gaming is running a sale on their fat mats. And like the big 6x4 stuff is like $50.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like almost a 50% discount or something ridiculous. And they've sold out of a couple of them, but I would buy them sooner rather than later if you're interested in them.
That's a pretty good deal for sure. Yep. The full 6x4. I mean, you can't go wrong. Okay, cool. So let's straight go to some picks of the week. So Mr. ChiHammer, you're kicking us off, buddy. You've got a box here.
Yeah, I do got a box here. I got a box right here. So this is actually from I went to Buckeye Battles with you, Vince. I won a coupon for some figures, but I'm like, you know what the fuck? It wasn't enough money. I was just like, I'll look at it later. And then I went to Michigan GT and I ended up winning another coupon from the same company. So I'm actually going to give my pick of the week to this company, which is Mears Miniatures. And I got a box here showing off what I might have for my army. So what I got going on here, which is just obviously some gray sprue, right? But it's actually going to be another like giant Minotaur Gore-Tex looking thing for another giant that I'm going to play.
Nice.
So, yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. They actually gave me 2 body options. That's awesome. Didn't even notice. All right. That was my pick of the week.
Nice. I like it.
Good job, Mears. Thanks,
Mears makes awesome stuff, by the way. Like
Yes, they do.
I'm glad that you've finally come and seen the light, buddy. That's what I'm
Rufus
saying.
is a Mears miniature.
Yeah, yep, exactly. There is some good miniature in that line. That like
actually,
2-headed rat bane beast thing or whatever it's called.
My brother has that one. Actually, I asked my viewers, guys, I have like, I forgot how much it was, like 80 or 90 pounds of Mears Miniature coupons. What should I do with it? And somebody said, get the model that LT uses as Rufus and make it your own just to like desecrate for Lord Tremendous. You know what I mean? Just to like make fun of his. And I was like, that's a good idea, but
You want to start that game, brother? I will throw money at my problems. I will have a chicken A-Rock running around as a rock, big feathers, huge steroid muscles, and
I'm just saying,
I will put an
bring
MP3
it.
player on it that just screams "Koopa!"
Bring it, man.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
see this model. I think
All right.
Vince wants to see this model.
All right, you forced my hand now. You've made
Yeah, I
me
know.
do this. You've made
Do
me
you
do
know
this. I'm
how
gonna
much?
have to put.
Do you know how much money I spent in the chicken rock? It's
I have no idea.
ridiculous. It's
Probably a
ridiculous.
decent
It's
amount.
it was way too much money for any one model.
Look, all I'm saying is if you've got a Skaz, you need to have a ChiHammer as well, right? I mean, that's just fair.
I've got a Skaz, I've got a Cheapskate, I've got a Thunder Cannon of Doom, and Thunder Cannon of Doom, he doesn't do battle reports, but he's my Empire of Sonstal opponent. Yeah, I got to get a Vince, I got to get a Tom, I got to get a ChiHammer, I got to get a Once Bitten. I'm just going to change all their names out. All right, so the Rock will come back in chicken form. The God, I don't even know. You know what? Now I'll figure it out. It's going to be awesome.
This is another thing I gotta show off real quick while you still got the pick of the week. This is something I showed to Vince when I went to Michigan GT. They had a bits guy there, and I found this in the bits bin for $5. It is so fucking cool. It's like a little fucking dragon, dude. You guys see it?
Yep.
Is that the old Wood Elf dragon?
Is that what it is? I have no fucking clue what it was.
It kind of looks like it. It's cool.
It was $5. Hell yeah! I was gonna make this like a new mount for a goblin and just like retire a Koopa or something.
Retire? I don't. Goblins never retire. Orcs and goblins never retire. They just
Koopa's
fade
tired,
away.
man. Koopa's tired. Koopa's legs, like the spider's legs, keep breaking. So I came up to the conclusion. Actually, one of the guys, Evil Ash, he came up to this conclusion of giving Koopa Spider a peg leg. So, because the other leg just kept breaking off. I was gonna do it too, but I just ran out of time before GT. But anyways, I'll still do it.
All right, LT, pick of the week. Your turn, buddy.
All right. Well, my pick of the week is the newest member of the 9th Age content team. It's Green Dragon Gaming. It's a new channel, up and coming, and it's him and his buddies. They do all these things, but they try to keep a real positive vibe. The whole time. Sometimes even I'm guilty of it too. When you're taking that hard L, you know what I'm talking about, and it's not the game's not going your way. These guys actively try to keep it up. I believe their saying is without us you wouldn't be any good. They do some real good 9th Age battle reports. They just joined the content team. They're going to really ramp it up, and if you're not sub to them, you should be, especially if you want 9th Age content.
Very nice. I like it. Tom, I know I stole your pick of the week. Do you have one? Do you have another one, or do you just want to go back to that one?
I'm going to go back to that one.
That's okay.
No.
Have you seen their chariot? Let me say that. Have you seen the chariot? It wasn't in that video.
I have not seen the chariot.
It's amazing. It's a scarab. Like the whole chariot is a scarab. It's coming. The scarab chariot is coming. Yes, check out their Undying Dynasties minis that are out and are forthcoming. It has me very excited for my TK project that I'm going to be tackling next year. So good stuff.
Very nice. I like it. We're still playing camera games here. That's the goal. Sorry. I'm trying very hard to get this working. All right. So my pick is related to the previous one, which is related to the Tabletop Miniature Solutions. So not only did they have the video showing the Undying Dynasties figs, but they have launched a new Indiegogo. And the new one is for the Kingdom of Aquitaine, because apparently they like making miniatures of my favorite armies, which I support. They should keep doing this. Maybe they'll do some rat people next. I'm just saying, some kind of rat people.
I'm not going to say what they've been talking about on the internal forums, but your current love of TMS may continue in 2017.
I'm glad to hear that.
That's all I'm going to
very
say.
glad to
That's
hear
all I'm
that.
going to
Sure.
say. You do with that information what you want.
Whatever you think that means. Read the tea leaves of Lord Tremendous. But
That's right.
I would love to have a second rat person manufacturer on the market because there's not a lot of good places to get rat people right now. Not a lot of wide variety out there, which makes me sad. But they launched the Kingdom of Aquitaine, and if it's living up to or exceeding the Undying Dynasty stuff, I can't wait. And I know, as I've openly said, I have a lot of painted knights. I have probably 120 unpainted knights that I need to do sometime. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't buy more knights. Can anybody here tell me why I shouldn't buy more?
He who has the most toys wins. Simple
There you
as
go.
that. So no,
There it is.
the exact opposite. You need more.
All right, cool. Well, I'm glad to hear it. We'll settle that then. So join me and back up to them. I'll put the link for everything we've talked about will be down below. Okay, including the Indiegogo. Go, back them because they've already exceeded their base goal. So now it's just how much more stuff do they make? They're going to deliver. You can help them get deeper into the range of the Kingdom of Aquitaine. So there you go. Super exciting. And clearly they have proven they can deliver because they're doing it right now. So you have the full faith and confidence. All right, let's move on to some hobby time. So James, you just got the new stuff. Is that what you're working on, or what are you working on?
Yeah, well, no, I actually come back to me. I'm gonna go get it out of the bag.
All right, you go get your stuff out of the bag. LT, what are you working on, brother?
Currently, I am looking up models to make the ultimate ChiHammer Rock-a-Rock. I'm gonna find the most muscle-bound model I can possibly find, covered in dead orcs and goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm gonna put a tank top on it. It's gonna be gorgeous.
You still have an extra one of those muscle dudes that we talked about previously, right? That like guy that came with a magazine, that has like
I sent him to you.
Yeah, but I thought you did, and thank you very much.
Oh,
you said like if your shop still had access to another one, that's a great rock writer. That's all I'm saying. Like that'd be a great guy to just be on top of the beast to represent ChiHammer himself. He's got the muscularity.
The thing is, I have a 30 mil Conan model I got in a bit swap that I've been thinking about, and he's standing there with two swords up in the air. Oh yeah.
Nice.
This is gonna be erotic. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
It's all coming together. So we can. I worry about the fact that your wife is going to have to paint that model. I'm not sure what that's going to mean for your relationship. I think
she can just never meet ChiHammer. That's all. I can't take that risk now.
Yeah, good point.
Because the model I think I might end up buying is atomically correct, and nope, I just can't have that. I'm not that secure in my marriage. I'm sorry.
What the fuck is going on? I don't know what I missed in that first part of the conversation.
ChiHammer's already going after my sisters on Facebook. It might work. I don't even know.
She lives in Evanston.
Yeah, I told you my whole family's up there, man. I'm the one that moved out.
I live like 2 blocks away from his fucking sisters.
There you go. Well, what can you do?
That's not going to end well.
I'm just trying to get one of them I'm trying to give them one of the dice so they could give it to him.
Ah, there you go. That's all.
That's all.
He's just trying to give him a die, man. That's all.
Yeah. He wants a fucking Dice Dojo dice and probably a Jarritos dice for Team Mexico.
I'm going to need both, yeah.
Yeah.
And I will sell my sisters for dice, apparently. So,
and I'm probably going to have to give it to your sister to give it to you.
We're still talking about dice, right? I don't know if I want...
So what's your hobby time, James? What did you go retrieve besides maybe LT's sister's address?
Okay.
Actually,
okay.
I'd be fine with that. They've hooked up with some real losers. At least I know this guy and I know he's cool. So go for it, buddy.
I thought you were gonna say, and I know he's a loser. So it's on par. It's on par.
No, I thought it was fucking hilarious. I saw that Facebook post. I put it up there where it was like, scientists have proven that people who drink energy drinks are assholes. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that makes so much sense.
It explains
I'm an asshole.
It's all coming together.
So last time I was on your video, I believe I was sidekick to Vince. I started the Chicken Rock, right? So Chicken Rock's already been on a lot of videos. I know that, but it's not finished yet. I did take a break on it because I started playing Total War, but basically I still have the Chicken Rock going on here. Now the Chicken Rock, all right, I'm not finished with it yet. That's the reason why I brought it up here. All right, I still plan on finishing this. I got this little goblin here, which is like a fucking little. I don't know. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay. This guy's a little fucking like jester, right? So I'm gonna try to get him on there. I ended up building this little extra platform on the back of the Chicken Rock where somebody else could go on. Okay. And then I also have another goblin that I got from. It's that old company. It was like from Poland, I think. The hell's the name of it? Rackham Miniatures.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this one's a little rat goblin. And then I have somewhere around here in this giant mess of mine, I have a mortar that one of my fans actually provided to me, and I'm gonna put the mortar right in there as well. And then finally it'll be complete.
It's that is a beautifully oversized spider, and I love everything about it. I love how tall you built that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love sticking shit on the back of large monsters.
Yeah,
I approve.
Got a good view there.
Yeah, that is fantastic, dude. Look at that. Look at the size of that thing.
I know. It doesn't fit in the fucking bag.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna need a special transport just for that spider.
Gonna need its own box.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. I can't imagine taking this across to another country anymore.
I assume that's gonna show up at Adepticon, so I'll be able to see it in person.
Oh yeah.
That's just down the street, so very good. I'm looking forward to that. All right, awesome. And I hear, by the way, quick shout out on Adepticon. I hear there may be another member of our group may have gotten some Adepticon clearance. Am I correct there?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got approval. I got approval to go from the wife. I got approval to go from work. Now I just got to make sure on the 21st I remember to pre-register, pay, and get into all the T9A events, and possibly I'd like to get into the Blood Bowl event as well, because
yeah, man.
With the new Blood Bowl thing coming out, there's a couple of guys in the local game store. We love that game. And because we can't play real football, but
bro, it's so hurty with all the punching and pushing and tackling.
Yeah,
I'll make sure Fergus and Mike Hernandez know that you got to be in all the events because they're the ones who are running it. I'll make sure you're going to be in every fucking event.
Excellent, I appreciate it. Awesome, thank you. You could have one of my sisters. Thank you. I'm serious, sis. He got me into Adepticon. You got to take one for the family.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy.
That's how it goes.
That's how it works.
It's good that you mentioned that date. So everybody who's thinking of going to or possibly going to Adepticon, let me just say, this is going to be a big year at Adepticon. So if you've ever been thinking about it, this is the year. Go do it. Don't think 21st. That's what LT just mentioned. That's when all the events go live. I don't remember exactly what time of day. It's like maybe 8 p.m. or 8 p.m.
November 21st, 6 p.m. I believe. Believe it. Yeah, I don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I have a reminder in my phone, but I don't remember it.
I actually have an Adepticon story I want to share with you guys. Okay, and it's not the same story I always tell where I had to take a shit when Thomas Merton met me. Anyways.
I want to hear that story. Wait a minute.
I said that story. I think I said that story in one of my videos.
We'll deviate from hobby time here for a moment. Please continue. Tell us this story.
No. But anyways, when I first got into this hobby, when I first got into this hobby, I bought a box of Black Orcs at a hobby store that was like in the back of a mall that was really hard to spot, right? So then I started painting them, and I was like really young. I think I was like 6th grade or some shit like that. And I took them to school because I thought they were so fucking cool. I'm like, oh, look at these things I painted, right? And this kid at school was like, oh, that's cool, you paint those. I paint them as well. But he's like, I paint the Space Marines. I was like, what the fuck is a Space Marine, right? So I go to his house, and he had a bunch of miniatures that he had painted. He had a bunch of Space Marines. Then he had some like Bretonnian archers. He had a bunch of Orcs and Goblin stuff because he was, doing the conversions. And what I ended up doing, and again, I'm like in 6th grade, I fucking stole all his Orcs and Goblin shit. All right? I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I'm like pocketing it and shit, So that was again when I was in 6th grade. Okay, I went to Adepticon last year. Look, Tom's cracking up here.
It's
So I went to-
amazing. Vince has still stolen stuff stories. Continue.
Oh my god,
so
this is gonna be the greatest episode ever. I'm so happy.
I went to Adepticon last year. All right.
And he was there.
And-
Tell me he was there.
And, well, I go up there and I'm looking for the badges, and they have the badges separated in alphabetical order, right? So I go there and I'm like, yeah, James Silva, and they go up there and they're like going through it, and the person on the top of the whole stack was that kid that I stole his shit. I was like, holy fucking hell. So I actually went on Facebook, looked up the guy, and I sent him a message. I'm like, are you at Adepticon? He goes, yeah. And I was like, oh, shit.
Now I gotta give your stuff back.
I still have it. I still have his Bretonian fucking archers, man. I never did anything with them. I just used them to put them around the house and shit.
That's if it was me, I would have remembered and I would have been like, you bring those Bretonian archers. You bring them. I'm coming for you.
Bring my stuff back.
I hunted down a steam tank I lost 17 years ago. Okay.
He found it on eBay.
I found it on eBay, went all in on the auction, and that thing is on my shelf. Like, I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
Never forgive, never forget. That's my motto. Ever. It's that simple.
I'm just gonna enjoy my pizza. You guys could go on with hobby time.
Tom, what are you working on, buddy? I'm back, by the way. Yay, got the camera working. Tom, not sharing any more images. What are you doing?
I am assembling my force for Holy Wars in February. So I'm still in the model building phase of the expansion of the of my Nurgle stuff. So lots of cutting and gluing. I forgot how annoying it is to actually build models from scratch when you're doing like 40 infantry. I'm like, man, this is terrible. I just need to buy these things like fully assembled, and then I'll just paint them.
I actually find that is the funnest part, man.
Is putting them together.
Assembly?
Yeah, putting them together. Like, oh, this one's gonna have his arm like this, and then you don't realize how bad it is until you try to put them together. Well, you don't have that in Age of Sigmar, but in fucking putting base-to-base contact shit, people are like all punching each other. You're like, come on, no, you got to fit next to this guy.
Well,
then it becomes a giant game of Tetris.
Yeah,
you're like,
orcs
okay,
are
you're here, you're here.
like some of the worst for that, right? Because the orcs are all just, they're all like, we all got
I make them 10 times worse. I'm like, oh, let me add this big-ass rock that's in the wrong shape and wrong angle. Let me add this giant-ass axe somewhere. Fuck this. I'm worse at that.
You know, one thing you could do if you want to make your life easier for people who like doing all sorts of crazy axes and stuff swinging out, you could do a lot more height variability. Have more of them standing on different rocks. Because if you move some up, it should move some of their arms out of the way. Then you still got to play like the number the bases game, where you got to make sure they're intermixed or whatever. But it could be better.
I've seen people do that because I tell them to pull off the miniatures when I'm doing the battle reports, and I see the underbelly and I see like the numbers. Yep. I never numbered them. I just remember who could stand next to who.
Hey, if you can do it, you're a better person than me. I've got a number because I'm like an idiot, so I'm not going to remember that. Especially not when it's like Skaven and there's just too many of them. Who can even count? Who knows? They're just everywhere. Just rats. Just more rats. There you go. All right, my hobby time is I don't remember what I mentioned last week. I think I mentioned I was going to start on Alariel. Well, I've been working on Alariel. And I'm still working on Alariel.
Wow.
And she's going to be a real, absolutely. Well, she's a real try-hard model. Enough that I don't want to show her on this screen because it'll just look like crap. She herself is done and sitting right here. The beetle is done. She's probably like 50 or 60 hours in. I'm very happy with how she's come out. The beetle's more. The base is what I'm on to now. And the base is going to be, as I mentioned last week, and I've now started constructing it. I did it over the weekend. But I have to wait and dry and stuff. It's going to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever constructed as a base. If you thought I was bringing terrain before, you ain't seen nothing yet. Okay. That's all I'm saying. So she should be done here the next day or two. There you go. And I'll post and share pictures. So if you want to see what she looks like, if you're at all interested, if you don't give a crap, Great, cool, super fun. But if you want to see what she looks like, just at Warhammer Weekly on Twitter. There you go. Everything gets shared out there. All right. So, gentlemen, are you ready to talk about the Green Tide? Are you ready to talk about the Orcs and Goblins? The Horde?
The green?
There indeed. Yeah, well, I mean, allegedly. I've heard that rumor. I prefer to think of them as minty myself, but whatever you like.
Oh my!
They all have like a delicious double mint flavor if you lick them.
All of mine are neon.
Sure, I like a bright green orc. Let's start out quick round robin. What do you prefer? Do you prefer a yellow green, like a puke green, a brown green, regular green, mint green, neon green? James, go. What orc skin is the appropriate color?
All my early orcs were
whatever.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All my earlier orcs were a yellow green. My current orcs are more a pale green.
Okay. So like a faded bright green, kind of like a whited out green kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of got that after watching The Hobbit, and you see that one white one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that's sweet. It's a sweet orc. Like I do love like Tolkien orcs and stuff. Yeah. Good war paint there too. I like war paint on orcs. All right, LT, what's your green color of choice for orcs? What color is the orcs for you?
When I like the Dark Angels green on them. That is the shade of green that I believe is the proper orcish color.
All right, so you're like dark green orc.
That's right.
All right, something like this, right? That's kind of what you're aiming at there. That kind of a color.
Yeah.
Vince, don't be silly. That's a paint bottle. That's not an orc.
That's a good point. You got me on that one.
I couldn't tell because the color was right. I'm just saying. He threw it on a 25 mil base. I'd be like, is that a character? That's awesome.
Well, no. Here, hold on. I got you covered. Here, it's here. We'll put it. There you go. It's like now it's a troll.
It's Koopa.
It's Koopa. Now Koopa's pretty bright.
Yeah, he's a goblin. They're supposed to be a little lighter.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm down with that. Tommy, appropriate orc color, go.
For me, like I haven't painted orcs, I've painted goblins, and I run with the worm green from P3, which is like almost like a bordering on like inappropriately yellow, like neon green.
So like something like this.
Those are the highlights. Yeah, like so that's the step up from the base that I'm using.
So Chernobyl orcs, outstanding.
Well, because you gotta understand, like I'm dealing with like my forest goblins, and so like I wanted to have like the bright poisonous, sharp contrast, and so the goblin skins are that really bright green, and they have a lot of like purple magenta feathers and stuff like that. And so
right on. I'm saying for me, it's this right here. It's this kind of a rich green, like ultra bright, super green.
Boring.
That's what I like, man. I don't like no yellow. Zero yellow.
Let's be glad that Vince doesn't have an orc force.
Yeah, because they'd all be super green.
Boring.
Super green.
Both on my spiders, on the A-Rock and Chicken Rock, I have every goblin painted a different color green. Just
nice.
Have to do it that way.
I like it. When I say zero yellow, I mean less than 50% yellow. So there you go. Okay, because I understand what makes green. Thank you, everybody out there who's like quickly typing to be like, I must correct him. Uh-oh. I can't share it. You can share it if you want.
What, the link?
Yeah. You can share the image if you want. Go ahead.
Oh, can I?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Just bring it up on your screen. So like open the
link.
link.
Do I do a screen share thing?
See,
Lord T, I have locked on you
to YouTube.
And you'll have if you look on the left, you have a little green screen with a little arrow in it. Click on that and then select your web screen.
Okay, I assume this is right. If not, you guys are about to see all my porn. Can you see it? Yeah?
See all my porn?
I don't see the orcs.
This will be the ChiHammer Rock.
Yes.
Look at that magnificent bastard.
That's better than what I have.
Oh my God. I'm just getting started.
Look at that.
Add a pirate ship on the back of it, all right?
Yeah,
with
look at the muscles on that dude, man.
I'm gonna find I'm going to find the proper size doll workout stuff, and I'm just going to put it all over there like a howdah, and I'm going to put... I already sent... ChiHammer knows exactly which orc I'm going to use to represent him, because I sent him the work in progress pictures on Facebook.
Yeah.
That is... Oh, yeah.
But where are we going to find a big enough chicken?
Oh, I don't know. Baby steps. This art can't be rushed.
That was always my problem, is like I gotta find more chicken heads. I mean, I ended up having to pull off Deathclaw's head here from Karl Franz, right? But I really wanted to use the double-headed griffin, but I was like, nah, Deathclaw is more, noted, more notorious.
Sure. All right, make sure you stop screen sharing now, LT. Just click the stop sharing. I love it. All right, that's great. We've got a good base. You've got a good base there for sure. All right, so let's break it down. Let's get in to the orcs and the goblins. So high level stuff first, okay? We're going to talk about this in terms of 1.2, right? So now we've got our categories rocking in, right? We've got our new category breakdown. So we got our characters, our core, our special. We've got our death from above, our range stuff, and our big and nasty. So what's interesting to me, to quickly cover the numbers for people, characters 35%, fairly standard. Core still rocking the... What's that?
It's horrible. I like playing a lot of characters.
That's too limiting for you. Well, I mean, to be fair, most of the armies are at 35% now, right? So
I understand.
Yeah. but yeah, it's still horrible. I know you like a little hero orcs. You like a hero in your orc. I get it. Plus, a goblin hero is like any other army's just sort of good trooper, to be fair. So, there you go. All right. And we've got our standard 25% core. So you didn't no lower core percentage for you. You're still rocking the old school core tax.
Yep.
Right. Standard unlimited special, 15% death from above. That's not a huge number. And then 25% big and nasty. So my first thoughts when I looked at the 1.2 for O&G was they are trying to force you to get a lot of orcs on the table, like just orcs and goblins, right?
Yeah.
The point being is you can't get into your other stuff. They hard limited it. We got rid of the green gun line and that kind of thing straight out, right? What do you think about the new percentages overall? What's your feeling on them? How did they interact with your play style, James?
Vince, I'm gonna plead the fifth so that way the guys in T9A don't change anything on me.
Okay.
I'm just fucking with you. I'll say something. So personally, the 15% death from above really doesn't hit you too bad, because the only thing in death from above is the doom divers, the catapults, and the skewerers, which I haven't played a gun line in probably since earlier this year. I'm sorry. So it's not that bad of a big of a difference. I mean, you can still take guys with crossbows. You can still take guys with bows. It's not going to change too much on that. The 15% is really just limiting you to 2 big war machines and 1 small one, or maybe a lot of small ones, a lot of skewers.
Yeah, because I mean, if you went all in and literally capped all the war machine choices, right? Like that's 960 points. Like if you took the most expensive of everything. And so you've got, in a 5,000 point game, you've got 750 on your 15%. So you're not even that far over cap if you literally maxed your choices. So
yeah. So exactly, yeah. And the core tax, whatever, it is what it is. It's been that way. I think the biggest issue with the core tax, which a lot of people are, I was actually looking on the forums today about this, is the same problem everybody's having, is like, what the fuck do you fill your core with? And what ended up happening is, since they limited how many Ed Bashers you could take, I see everybody going with mass quantity of goblins, because there's no real other option to really take on core. They took the Wolf Riders out of core.
right.
So you're left with goblins of 3 different races, and then you got regular orcs, I mean, just strength 3 base 4 with the upgrade really don't do that much. You might as well get more bodies with goblins. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, the trick with your Ed Bashers is obviously, they're like, well, I'm sure we're going to dig them when we dig into core here in a minute. But, they have honestly a pretty low max count on that unit, right?
Yeah,
at 30.
Like 30, right?
It's 30. And the big problem with them, too, is the fact that they're initiative 2. So
Right.
it doesn't matter if you got 30. You're going into combat. You're going to lose half your fucking guys before you get there. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing. Oh, go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry. Please.
No, I was going to say that, and I think combined with, I mean, they took a hit in Magic. That's right that they lost their
Magic's pretty. I mean, like I made the Magic video talking about it, and you know, I was trying to be positive about it because I didn't know what changes overall. But then, like, the more and more I sit there and think about it, I'm like, well, we lost the hatred spell, we lost the ward save, we lost poison spell, we lost reroll hits and wounds on the flanks, we lost armor piercing. There's a lot of spells that the Orcs and Goblins had. Not only that, but like the spells that I was like notorious for screaming in the mic, you know, like the Green Moon and even just the little easy magic missiles. All of them really kind of got they're not existent in my army anymore, in the Greenskin army. Which I'm like, okay, what do they replace it with? Well, here's the deal: is the reason why I would take a Goblin Shaman in any version before this is because they're cheap, okay, and they could give a lot of spells for low casting costs,
right?
Okay, but now the Goblin Shaman has pretty much the same spells as an Orc Shaman, and it's like, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of taking an Orc Shaman, or one has Shamanism and one has Witchcraft, and that's the only difference. Everything else is roughly the same, and it's like, well, there was no point in me taking a Goblin over an Orc. I mean, they both get Pyromancy, and the cost is going to be the same. And that's I feel like that's it you know, kind of limits what what you can do with a wizard or a shaman in Orc and Goblins. But,
all right, so I want to spin this over to LT real quick, Tom, not to interrupt you, because I have a specific targeted question on this subject. So LT, would you like to talk about shamanism and your feeling on it, given what you've on that lore?
Yeah, shamanism is broke as hell, and there's no way they're going to keep it the way it is right now. And if they do, I don't know how I'm losing games. I got to be honest. The totemic summon is just broke. Being able to bring a little baby monster, onto the table. I mean, cheapskate. He comes on there. If you've got war machines, I've got their number.
This is what I was going to use for my totemic summon. It's a 3-headed dog.
Perfect.
From Game Zone.
Nice.
That's perfect.
Or was it Game Zone? No, it's Titanforge.
Dig it.
In fact, in my last battle report, number 49, I'm able to throw a totemic summon out there to basically clinch the game for me. Didn't cost me anything but some power dice, and that is broke as hell. And I know it's got to be going away because it's too good to be true. Swarm of Insects is fun because it's 5d6 strength 1 attacks or strength 1 hits or whatever, which we all know isn't a whole lot, but it's a gamble. You know, you get to throw these dice, and how many 6s can I roll with 5d6 worth of dice? And the results have been about what you think, 3 to 5, on average, but that's a war machine, that's chaff, that's a lot of different stuff. And bottom line is, it's a great way to get that spell off first thing in the game, and then for the rest of the game, your opponent's throwing is the spell dice at that, so you can get your totemic summon out. What's the other one? Break the Spirit. That spell, -1 to hit, and all terrain is DT2. Which means for my army, when you're running through something that's, all terrain is DT2, if my trappers have trapped something, you got to go through it. Now you got a 50-50 chance of taking a wound, no armor save. So it's like they were thinking about me when this stupid bastard needs help. So we're going to go ahead.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up is because to me, when I look at the two guys, because I agree with you totally, James. I always preferred, like, looking at the army, I always preferred the little goblin casters, right? But looking at it now, honestly, the state of shamanism being such a good utility lore, not just because of the summon, although largely because of the summon, because being able to just make a dude is pretty good, right? Like when the dude can walk on from a board edge, like you said, like he's a war machine killer. It's just utility. It's crazy utility. Yeah. And the orc is the only one that gets the shamanism, right? And to me, that's a big deal.
Back in 8th edition, I actually I used to play with the End Times undeath, and I would try to summon up stuff, and it won me some games. Some games I would summon it up, and then it really didn't do shit for till the end of the game because it's like, well, I got on the table, now I can walk, but now I can't do shit else. I can't charge till next turn. So that's the only thing that I see with that spell that would kind of like, you know. But I understand. I trust me, I get it. Everybody's gonna put their war machines on the corner. You freaking pop up a monster in the background. It creates this vacuum of like everything shooting at that now. You know what I mean? And I love that because it doesn't cost you anything. The bees spell specifically, I saw it very useful in when the war machines only have 3 wounds. Now that the war machines have 5, 6 wounds or whatever it is, it's like you have to really be lucky with those 6s.
Yeah, because your average out of 5d6 is 3 wounds. You know, needing 6s to wound. So like that's your mathematical average. But that being said, I do agree with you for like a light chaff clearer, totally. Or you know, why not take a crack at a war machine? Who cares? Like, yeah, okay, you get the wounds on. I mean, whatever, that's fine. You know, it still gets you there. It just might take 2 spells. But the reality is, also most war machines are also fairly prone to wounding themselves to some degree on a misfire, right? And so putting them closer to the point where they just kill themselves, it ain't a bad thing. And you almost auto, if you can get off those 3 wounds on most chaff, that's like instant panic check. And a lot of chaff will drop a panic check fast.
Because they're usually out of the bubble, they're usually low leadership, and they're relying on their skirmish formation to make it harder to hit. But hey, this is magic. It auto hits you. But the thing that I really like about it the most is that it's a dispel dice magnet. So I can get the spells off that I need, like the Universal Frenzy spell. There was a dwarf player I played, and I threw Bow Wowzer in front of him, and then in the magic phase, I was able to get Frenzy off, and my opponent, because not everybody remembers Frenzy, especially if they're not used to having it in their army. And he gets it off, and I was like, what does that do? I was like, I'm going to put Frenzy on your unit. And he looked at me like I was stupid. He goes, okay. It goes off. I was like, are you sure? Because you're in combat. And I didn't realize he had forgotten. And he goes, yeah, go ahead. I'd like some extra attacks. Okay. So we go into combat after the spell goes off. He kills Bow Wowzer, no problem. And then he goes, I'm going to reform. So you have to overrun. You're frenzied and you charged. And we looked up the rule just to make sure we weren't wrong. And he overran. And then everything ran into his flank and smashed his Kingsguard unit. It was beautiful. But that was all because of the spell. It's just... it works for my army because I need it to work in that way. You know, it suits the weaknesses in mine. For example, I don't have to take a Kinslayer anymore, a Kin Eater anymore. I can just take Shamanism, and on a 10 up, I've got a watered down Kin Eater for free. It doesn't cost me 200 points. So I could put those points towards something else, like a ChiHammer Rock or something like that.
Exactly. So Tom, I know I interrupted you a little while back, and I am sorry about that. It was right on the point I wanted to.
Yeah.
Good. Did you have something you wanted to
No, I was just putting my finger on the fact that, like, the lack of the reroll hits that you would have been picking up from the big green, like the one lore, which is not present in their list anymore, really hurts some of the melee capability. Sure, and so it's just something that, like, it's especially felt with some of those other those regular units that you'd have been shoving into melee, like, for example, your Ed Bashers.
Yep. Yeah. No, absolutely. Because it's not like there are some units in the green line that have a decent weapon skill, but that's not the norm.
Yeah.
The norm is hitting on 4s. That's the world it is, right? It's a 50-50 world. So that like hatred or anything that's rerolling that was super potent. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's dig into some deep stuff here. Let's talk about some best and worst experiences, what you like. So, James, we're going to start with you a lot. You're gonna be our guide here through this world. Okay. So we're going to start off with some characters. All right. What do you like? What's your best? What's your worst? What's your pick? What do you like? What don't you like in the world of the characters? Because each of these guys also have a breakdown, right? They've got this normal suite of sort of melee and lords, but then obviously we have the sort of trifurcation beneath that, right? Of your 3 types below that. Yeah. So what's your feeling on most of that stuff?
To be honest, I mean, I know a lot of Orcs and Goblins players tend to lean on the Goblin side. I'm a Orc all the way, even though I love Koopa. He does great. Chickenhead did great back in the day. I have to go with the Orc Warlord, man. The Orc Warlord is he's the fucking bread and butter of the army, man. So, especially the way I've been playing with it, Zod lately, you know, Chariot with the Bluffer's Helm and Divine Icon and picking the weapons. He's just a fucking beast. Nobody wants to fuck with him.
Are you running common or are you running Iron Warlord?
Oh, Iron. I always go Iron. And I had this big discussion with one of my friends about it would be cheaper if I take him as a common orc. But I'm like, dude, that one extra weapon skill makes or breaks some games, you know? It's just that simple.
7 is a big... The difference between 7 and 6 is actually notably large, right? Because of what happens when you run up against... most anybody else. There's a lot of weapon skill 6 heroes in the game. There's not a lot of weapon skill 7 heroes, right? So that put in that fight, that puts you at a distinct advantage hitting on 3s. But obviously then it has, you know, other advantages when you run up against weapon skill 3 stuff, right?
That's exactly. They're hitting me on 5s now. And not only that, but I think the only thing that I ever run into that ever hits better than that is like a Chaos Lord, some elves, lords, and then demon princes. That's it.
You've got to get to the top of like the scariest combat dudes, right? To find that equivalent. Okay.
And then usually elves are weak, so I'm like, go ahead, hit me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're elves. They're just there. Do you happen to remember, fun side story, do you happen to remember way back in the day, I don't know if you played this far back, but do you know why goblins were afraid of elves? Because goblins used to have fear elves.
I don't know why. No.
The explanation was, so like regular goblins feared elves unless they at some points in history it was just period. At some points it was if they outnumbered them by a certain ratio. The reason they were afraid of them is because elves...
They smelled money.
Elves, no, not smell funny. Elves stink funny.
Isn't that the truth, though?
Yes, that is my favorite explanation of elves I have ever heard. They stink funny.
It's probably because they took a shower or some shit, you know?
It's perfume and lilac. Yeah, soap, exactly.
Perfume and lilac.
That man smells like a woman. Something about this is off. Let's poke it with a stick.
Exactly. So what out of the select, we talked a little bit about the shamans already. What out of the group don't you like? And like, you know, when it comes down to, obviously you mentioned the chariot, are there mounts in there that you just feel nope, no, you know, not a taker, wouldn't bother, stuff like that?
I actually think every mount is pretty decent. I like the wyvern. I like the obviously the gargantulas. I do feel like if I had to choose, I would pick the Gargantula as I wouldn't take it as a character because a Gargantula by itself is not going to change versus a guy on the Gargantula. Obviously, the guy on the Gargantula is going to live a little bit longer because he has more wounds, but you're also increasing the cost of how much it costs, and people are always going to gun it down anyways.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not a bad mount. It's still good. The one thing is, you're paying for both the hero allotment and the big and nasty allotment if you take a character on a big mount. So.
Yeah, and to be fair, that Gargantula is not exactly a small hit to that big and nasty number, right? If you're in a 5K force, you're talking about 1250, right? Is your amount you can spend.
You still run 2 of them, right?
Sure, but I mean, he's 500.
You can't run. Yeah, is it 500? I haven't checked.
Yeah, he's 500 if he's the mount for the
mount version. Yeah,
for the Forest Goblin. Yeah,
that's 20 points more expensive than the regular one.
Yep. Yeah, he ain't cheap, no doubt. I mean, you know, that being said, as you like, there's not many ways to make your character have 8 wounds. Right.
Yeah.
So like that's a big number.
And T6.
Yeah. So I'm not sure it's not worth it. I'm not sure it is worth it. I agree with you that like the problem with it is, yes, you're right. Against the armies that they will just focus firepower, right?
And it makes me sad that you can't run 3.
Well, it does. It
like I own 3. Like I'll be honest, like I have 3 amongst my Forest Goblin connection.
I was about to get the cabbage fucking wyvern.
Yeah,
and use him as a third Arachnarok, like with the actual character on it, you know. And then I was like,
the cabbage. He's a good model. It's a good model. I love that dude. I
I'm
like that
probably
the
still gonna
orc
get
is,
it.
I like that the orc is chained to him
Yes.
because that's the only way, not so he doesn't fall off, so he doesn't jump off, because it's the only way to keep the orc attached. Somebody else chained him there so he didn't jump off and start fighting on his own because he can't remember to stay on the mount.
Is that there's an actual story behind that?
That's the real reason why he's chained there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
His other boys chain him to it so he'll actually stay on the dumb thing. Because otherwise the orcs just want to get fighting so bad they can't remember to stay on their mount. Which I enjoy.
Okay, I do have a bad choice here. Okay, I just looked at it right now and just totally get it. A feral orc warlord on either the wyvern. Oh, I think they took away the chariot. They did take away the chariot.
Yeah.
A feral orc warlord on a wyvern is going the wrong fucking way. I'm telling you right now. It's just going the wrong fucking way.
Yes, and it's funny because even the points tacitly admit that by it being the cheapest option, right?
It is. It is. Like, who the hell takes a feral orc on a wyvern? I just want to know. Put it in the comment section.
There you go. If there's anybody, if you're a fan of feral orcs on wyverns, because I mean, yep.
I mean, in all fairness, a feral orc on a wyvern with the axe of the apocalypse, it will do a shit ton of attacks, a shit ton of strength, but it will be frenzy baited so easily.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's just gonna run off. It's gonna go run and play somewhere else, not anywhere where you want it to be. Right. Like that's the thing about it. It's gonna end up on some corner of the table, and like turn 6, it's gonna be running to get back into the fight. Or turn 5, turn 6, it's just rushing back for the end of it, or for the
Yeah, and you can't even stop it with like your own chaff unit or anything like that because it flies. So,
right.
Yeah, yeah, because that's what I had to do with the Rock when I was playing Lord Tremendous on him. I had to take Bow Wowser and park him in front so that when he overran, he would stop.
Well,
yeah, Wyvern would go right over it.
Not only that, but the feral orc doesn't get many options in armor.
Right.
So you're looking at it. You could take a shield. And you could probably buy some magic armor for heavy armor. You'll have a 4-up as your armor save.
Well, it wouldn't matter if you had him on a Wyvern because he's a ridden monster, right? Or is a Wyvern?
No. It's a monstrous beast.
Oh, is it a monstrous beast? Oh,
yeah.
All right, hang on. You know what? I'm gonna get a kit. Damn it! Why do you do this to me?
Yep, it is a monstrous beast. Absolutely.
Oh, and for any 9th Age players that are out there, I just realized that Army Builder has updated, and version 1.2 is on Army Builder. So go create lists and be merry.
Awesome. Very good. That is good news. All right. So, Tom, LT, any other thoughts you want to add in the character section on some best and worst picks or thoughts around this?
You know what? Now, really, all I could think is how much I want to put a feral orc warlord on a wyvern. Honestly, just I don't have a whole lot of experience with orcs on the orcs and goblins side. My opponent mostly plays goblins. His orcs are usually for the exact same reason ChiHammer said, because there's no point in taking a goblin shaman. Orcs do it better. But he takes all goblins. He takes heavy shooting and stuff like that. But yeah, now all I'm thinking is I'd like to see him on a wyvern and see what he can do.
Does your opponent ever put his goblin king on a cave nasher? That's my question. Who's and then having him join some nasher dashers?
I don't believe he's ever used nasher dashers. In our last game, if memory serves, he had all of his orc characters on warboars. And I was able to. They were all feral orcs, and his general got killed. I want to say by my thunder cannon. I popped him, and so I didn't really get to see him in close combat because he had the axe of the Borpocalypse and everything like that. So
all I'm gonna say is for whoever plays against Lord Tremendous, if they play Nashers against you, you would have an incredibly hard time. Just saying.
I'd love the opportunity. I would love that more than anything.
Because Nashers are awesome against dwarves and ogres, just because they're faster and they do a shit ton of attacks.
Yep. So let's go out of order. Let's jump straight to special. We'll come back to core. Okay. So let's jump straight to special, and let's talk about some of the items in there, because it's going to be more interesting to reflect what's in special now, right? Interesting items in special to me, just right out the top. We've got our Iron Orcs moved up here, scoring unit. We've got our mounted Ed Bashers, also scoring. Got the chariots. We've got the wolves, as you mentioned. They moved up here. Our various wolf-related goblin items, and we got the Nasher Dashers. Yeah. So what do you like about the Nasher Dashers in that sort of a situation against those kind of models?
Against which models?
Against dwarves, against ogres, that kind of thing. Why do you think they have value in that case?
Well, Nasher Dashers. Well, the one thing is they have the fly, which they're I think the only unit in Orc and Goblin book that has fly. Period. Besides, if you take like a carpet, does magic carpet even exist anymore? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
I'm looking it up.
I'm looking
it up. Hang on. As fast as my mouse can fly. That was an enchanted item, I believe.
Yes, I mean basically you've got the wyvern, which we
flying carpet is gone.
There you go. And then these dudes.
And you got the wyvern and you got the Nasher Dashers. The Nasher Dashers are pretty cheap actually. I mean, I think did they go up in points a little bit? Let's see.
So you get 5 of them for 150 points.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the equivalent was originally. No, they went up a little bit in points, but still 150 points for 5 of them. They get impact hits, which is pretty nasty. It's only D3 impact hits, unless you add more.
Right. So your options here are basically D3 or 2D3 because they max at 10 in the unit.
Yeah. The immune to psychology is a pro and a con, and that's pretty much it. If you play Orcs and Goblins, you're pretty much learning either you have to deal with a lot of stuff that doesn't care or a lot of stuff that cares too much.
Right.
That's simple. So the immune to psychology is could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. And then the initiative 4 is what really makes it. The initiative 4, weapon skill 4, strength 5. That's actually a stat line of an Arachnarok. You know, weapon skill 4, initiative 4, strength 5. They do 2 attacks apiece. The row of teeth allows the mounts to attack in the second rank too, instead of the riders.
Yep.
So
yeah, I like these guys actually quite a bit, just because I think they have, I think we finally hit a sweet spot with these dudes. I go back to the old world when these guys still had like random movement and stuff like that. They were just really hard to use. Giving them the fly 6 to me is such utility, right? For them to move around and hit a flank or something like that. And realistically, D3 or 2D3 strength 5 impact hits plus, let's say, 10-ish plus if you've got some more in there, right? Strength 5 hits in the flank, like that's attacks rather. That's a pretty decent stuff going on. Like that's not a fun thing to take in the flank.
And they're cheap enough where you could just throw them in as chaff. You know, you're like, oh shit, I'm dying here. Here's some Nashers.
Right, hop them over there and call it a day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what else do you like out of special, and what makes you what do you feel is sort of maybe not up to snuff in special on the other items?
Let's look it up. All right. I actually do like the Iron Orcs. I know that people are talking about how Iron Orcs. I haven't really honestly thought about the game more globally besides the Orc and Goblin book.
Sure.
With all the magic changes and everything like that. Because I know I was at the WCW tournament 2 weeks ago. And somebody mentioned it, like, oh yeah, that's really good now because I forgot what they said. Something about the magic. There's less magic going around, and it was like I haven't thought about it in a bigger picture, like So the Iron Orcs, I mean, I think the point cost is roughly the same. They did include the plate mail now that you don't have to buy it as an upgrade. The bodyguard's always good in its scoring unit. The thing I like about the special is honestly all the magic banners. The Iron Orcs, the Mountain Ed Bashers, they both get magic banners that are 100 points. So you could use them. One of the ways I'm thinking is just grabbing a unit of 5 Mounted Ed Bashers and taking the +2 to dispel banner and just not take a wizard. Because that Mounted Ed Basher is 160 points. You get, I think the banner is like 40 points, I think. So within 200 points, you got a unit that is going to sit in a corner and dispel you for a lot cheaper than a fucking wizard.
That could also move around and be a scoring unit if necessary.
And a scoring unit, exactly. You know.
Yeah, so. And it's interesting to make them put firepower or dedicate resources to something like that, right? Like I think there's an interesting value to that, because if they do try to chase it down, hunt it down, that's fine. And I'll tell you right now, picking up on the last time LT was on the show, we talked about Magic, right? And the world of painful miscasts in 1.2. And let me tell you what, man, I've watched every single bat rep, that I can get my hands on in LT. I'm watching all those miscasts. Boom, Skaz kills his unit again. Boom, Skaz kills his unit again.
I honestly expected, when I was playing the game where Skaz miscast 4 times.
Twice in one round, and then 2 more times later on, and didn't die. I told the guy in the 4th miscast, the guy I was playing against, I said, I am going to get an angry text from Vince Ventrella when this is over. He's not going to know why. He's just going to text me, I'm mad at you and I don't know why.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I miscast more than twice in a game, I'm like, Vince is going to yell at me.
Stop using 4 dice. What's the matter with you?
That was just it. For three out of 4 of those miscasts were on 3 dice, and one of them was on 4. The dice just were like, screw caution. We're going to get this spell off. And the funny part was my opponent could have stopped 3 of them. And he was like, I want to see a miscast.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, now that is super incentive to let that spell go off.
But,
absolutely.
But to be honest, though,
the miscast in James in 1.2.
Oh, I had I've only played a couple UB games. I haven't played an actual table game. It's the first one I'm going to play is actually on this Saturday. But the first game I played on UB, I had a Orc Shaman in a unit of Feral Orc Ged Bashers, and I pretty much miscasted and wiped out the whole unit. And I was just like, yeah, that's pretty brutal. And it was like a 4 dice spell, and I was just like, son of a bitch. So, and then the spell wasn't even really worth it. Like, why the fuck did I throw 4 dice on it?
It's serious. Like, it's a thing. Let me pivot to a quick question since we're on this subject. I was going to bring it up in core. Okay. I think that the miscast table re-incentivizes the world of bunkers, right? To bring back bunker units. Okay. To bunker your casters or other critical characters at the same time, but especially your casters. Do O's and G's have a nice advantage in the fact that they can bunker wizards super cheap in, say, just like goblins, right? Which are like 20 for 120 or something.
An orc shaman cannot join a goblin unit, though.
Sure, but you can stick your goblin casters in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, goblin shaman can. Or
your common orcs, which are 20 for 180, right? So my point being is that you've got relatively cheap options to just stack a bunker of bodies back there.
Yeah, but then here's the other issue too is a lot of the magic is really short range, so that bunker has to like get in the front line,
or follow, or do the old Skaven and AZ where he always had his like the horde brick right here and then the bunker like T patterning right behind it, right? Just like following it around, pushing it just so he could always like be reaching over the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call that cowardly. He's watching. I have to take a shot. I have to take a shot. He's watching.
Hey, man. That's my Mexican teammate.
There you go.
AZ?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know he was Mexican. No, I've never met him in real life.
He's not Mexican. He's just part of Team Mexico.
Oh, he's a hanger-on. I see how it. He's like a rodent. Just you're gonna carry him in your luggage. I get it.
He's married to a Mexican.
That's what I was gonna say. He is Team Mexico by marriage. Yes.
I don't think he gets to use her passport, but if he does, hey, that's awesome.
I told you guys this is gonna come true, man. Team Mexico.
There you go. I am excited from seeing it first announced to now coming to fruition.
It happened on your show.
That's right.
It happened on your show. Yeah,
that's right.
For the record, though, I've been following Team Mexico since it was Team Virgin Islands. So
okay. So for the record, it was always Team Mexico first. but then we try to find out how, we're trying to go through all the guidelines to see how it could be legally a team. And they require passports. And then Virgin Islands, I mean, they actually allow American passports. So I was like, well, we could do it that way. But there was more loopholes to that. And I was just like, Mexico will be easier.
I like it. All right. So anything else jump out at you in the in the
special?
Yeah, in the special.
All right. Well, I was looking through it really quick. So, like, my biggest thing that I think is awesome in the special is honestly the mounted Ed Bashers, which is just like, I can't believe I just said that.
I would not have guessed that was going to be your pick.
Yeah, I mean, 2-up armor, strength 7 on the charge, and then take magic banners. One of the things that I do in my videos is I take a unit of 6 of them, max them out with best armor they could get, and then give them the banner that turns off magic items. And I take them in dart formation, only 2 wide, and I just throw them into something and just turn off all their magic items, And they're so thin that they can't direct all their attacks into them. And then I have something else, combo charge with it, and that thing's annoying, killing whatever the hell they're fighting.
Gotcha.
It destroys Death Stars.
Sure.
It really does.
Sure, because you shut off the magic. Yeah.
Exactly. I like the Orc Boar Chariot. It's back to a 3-up armor. It was down to a 2-up armor for a while. Nope, or a 4-up armor. I mean, I think it is 4-up armor. Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is in 4-up armor. Yeah.
Bullshit. Anyways. The Nasher Dashers, we talked about the Nashers. Nashers are the same thing pretty much. Are
you still a fan of the Wrecking Team?
I don't play the Wrecking Team much, to be honest. I have an issue with it. I have an issue with just giving people points. Like, oh yeah, here's 140 points, go kill it. I understand it creates this giant threat, like you have to immediately take care of it.
Right.
Which is awesome. But whenever somebody has like a 40-point saber-tooth tiger just like and go right in front of it, it's just like, oh, well.
Yeah, it runs forward with like a 5-pack of some Noblar trappers or some, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, and I played other Orc and Goblin players where I watched them like bounce it in the back line and just kind of wait to use it later. And I'm like, I still have a problem with that. I don't want to give away free points like that. I like having, to be honest, I like having an army that's really hard to deal with, just like hard to kill, hard to get through the armor or regen or toughness, whatever it is that's hard to deal with.
So, are cave trolls ever on your list, or are they too expensive?
No, cave trolls are pretty much on my list this whole since Buckeyes, I think. Actually, maybe right before Buckeyes. They've been on my list consistently because they're a tank unit. They're one of my favorite units, to be honest, because they're just so hard to just like. I love it. I love it when people are like, all right, this does, it's a fireball, screw your regen. And I'm like, well, I got magic resistance.
Yeah. You're just like 4-up armor, regen, magic resist 3. I mean, those dudes are stacked on the D, right? They
Yeah. Right now, with the 4,500 point list, I'm having a hard time trying to find the points for them. I honestly, right before this video, I was talking to Skaven AZ on the Team Mexico chat, and he was like, take the cave trolls instead of all the war machines. And I was like, yeah. That was like right before I got on this chat.
Nice. Now, LT, you've had some experience with the Wrecking Teams, right?
Yes, I have.
Now, what's been your experience with them and dealing with them, especially in an army like yours where you have a low model count of fairly expensive stuff? That you might have your little kitty you could throw at it, but you very well might not.
Well, the problem is I have one kitty, and yes. I throw that cat at it as quick as I can, but my opponent, like I said, he plays a lot of goblins, a lot of shooting. He kills my kitty. So, yeah, those things hurt. I throw a lot of magic at them because shooting, they're distracting or hard target or something like that. It's hard to hit them.
Hard target, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm terrified of them, to be perfectly honest, because...
everybody should be terrified.
Oh, yeah. Well, the first time I ran into my opponent and he was playing Orcs and Goblins, my mercenary veterans charged his brick of goblins, which in my head was, okay, so the mad gits are going to come out and do a little bit of damage, and I'm going to massacre this unit. 3 mad gits took out my entire brick. Just it went from 5 because I think I wasn't running my BSB in them at the time. I just had 6 merc vets. 1 got killed from shooting, and then 5 mercenary veterans. 5 got 15 wounds with a 4-up armor, and the mad gets 3 mad gets, and he rolled out of a box, but just the entire unit just exploded, and I didn't even get points for the gets. I was just like, holy shit. So yeah, I don't just charge that anymore. So the wrecking teams are just bigger, scarier versions of gets. So no, when I see goblins and the wrecking teams, I've got to rethink my whole strategy because it's terrifying.
So
the one thing
go ahead.
I'd say the thing is, the last time I played, and you could actually see it on my video. Last time I played a wrecking team, I was playing against Jake motherfucking Murphy, and I moved the fucking. I spent so much resources on keeping the fucking wrecking team alive, and I moved it right in front of his Bretonian knights, like right in front, and he had no chaff near enough. He tried to shoot it as much as he could. He couldn't do shit, and he just looked at me and he was like, "Fuck, you're gonna get it into my brick." And I was like, hell yeah, this is like the first time this ever happened. And I went right through him, and I did like 1 wound.
You had that happen though a lot. That like I remember you finally got the green moon off back in 1.1, and you were so excited. I got the green moon. I did 1 wound. My dice just completely shit on me, and it's like you can't fault things when it's the dice, because it's a dice game.
No. But, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wounding fucking Humes on 2s. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've been.
But he freaking armor and ward saves with the fucking blessing of the mother or whatever the fuck it is, blessing of the lady. And he just made all his word saves, and I was just like, wow. And then after that wrecking team's in the back lines, and then it gets back into me somehow, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
If it hits something early on, it'll start tearing things up. But yeah, they're terrifying to me. But I guess if an army or if your opponent's dice are working for you, yeah, it can be a gamble. I mean, but that's Orcs and Goblins. Their whole army is a kind of a gamble,
No, and that's the thing is there's different ways to play Orcs and Goblins, and I totally get that, And a lot of times when people I normally play on a weekly basis that come to the Dice Dojo and go to these big tournaments with me, and they're like, hey, I played some Orc and Goblin player, and he played nothing like you. And I'm like, most people do. Most people play their own style. But a lot of them deal with people who have multiple small units that do impact hits or fanatics or the Nashers that just do a lot of damage, but you have to get in contact, But at the same time, a lot of the people I play with don't have a problem with them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because they're used to dealing with shit that has like 1-up armor and is incredibly hard to wound.
So, Orcs and Goblins have classically been like the big tent army, right? By that, what I mean is like they've always been this massive conglomeration of so many different disparate things, right? You've got trolls, and you got crazy dudes swinging around balls and chains, and you've got giants, and you've got the Orcs and Goblins themselves, then multiple kinds of them, and dudes mounted and dudes on foot, and just all over the place. So in version 1.2 with the new restrictions, are they still big enough? Are like just my general thoughts, are they still a big enough tent? Is there still enough different ways to play them anymore? Because obviously a couple ways got cut off somewhat with the restrictions.
That's the thing is yes and no. I honestly think that obviously they still have the options to, but a lot of stuff is not priced right yet. And I'm hoping that they fix it, is what it is. I do not see many. Personally, I will not. If somebody is watching and can correct me, I don't see many uses for magic in an Orc and Goblin army at the moment. I just don't. Personally, I like taking 2 fighting characters, and that restricts my hero allotment. So to spend that much points into, like, you really have to invest into a shaman, like a lot of points. One of the things that Joe Getzy brought up to me early on was having a level 4 as your general is a really big hit because it's leadership 7, and top it off, God forbid you take it as a feral shaman, because then your frenzy checks are on leadership 6.
Right.
So having that level 4 general is kind of not really an option. It has to be a secondary character now, and the Monster Mash list kind of got nerfed ridiculously.
Well, you really
and,
can't play it anymore. Like the
No.
Monster Mash is just off the table.
Well, I mean, you can still play two. I mean, like the list I've been playing, technically still exists. You can still play 2 spiders and then a block of trolls, and then
Right.
the things, and then the boar boys to turn off magical items. Just deal with that. But there has been some synergy that's been taken off the table. Losing the poison spell, like I said, is a big deal because you can't just play this giant block of 50 goblins and hope to get a poison spell off or armor piercing off. You don't got it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
But-
so let's you mentioned the massive goblins. Let's talk about some massive goblins. Let's talk about our core. As I said, we've got the standard core tax, right? So we've got our 25%, but there's when it comes down to it, the core. So when I look at the core of ONG, okay, what I see is two things become immediately evident to me. Okay, my choices here are dudes and other dudes. Lots of dudes. Now, they got a lot of scoring units here in core and in special. It's a pretty decent amount of scoring unit selection amongst ONG. I don't think they're hurting for that. So I'm sure somewhere Skaven and AZ can curse for his lack of non-core scoring choices. But there, so you've got, you're not lacking for that. But basically it is, as you mentioned, it's like orcs, your Ed Bashers are 1 unit, and it's a pretty small unit at that, right? Like you're capped at 1 in the army, and it's no more than 30. And then beyond that, you've got orcs on boars and a big pile of some kind of goblins, right?
Yeah.
So what's your feeling on core right now and the state of it?
Well, I mean, it hasn't changed much besides. Oh, I stepped on my dog. It hasn't changed much since, except for the fact that they took the Wolf Riders out and they lowered how many Ed Bashers you have. The orcs kind of, one of the big problems they've always had was trying to find a reason to use regular orcs versus the Ed Bashers, and I think they kind of went a little too far on the one way versus the other on this. Because now it makes more sense to take a block of 50 regular orcs,
right,
versus taking 30 Ed Bashers to fill up your core tax.
What does that block of regular 50 orcs do?
Yeah. I mean, you could take them with spears, you could take them with bows, you could take them with both technically. Sure. So you could just sit back and top it off. It doesn't matter if you take them with as common orc or feral orc. Obviously, feral orc you're getting a ward save and the mammoth stabber. But with the common orc, at least you're getting you don't have to worry about frenzy checks and stuff like that. But either way, the common orcs you could get it with a 5-up armor where you have light armor, shield, and then give them spears and bows, and you can just shoot at somebody from across the table, wait till they get closer, and then deal with it, and you'll be able to get pretty much all the, in horde formation, at least 40 attacks in,
Yeah, sure. That's fair. So I'm thinking of I watched, little shout out to Andrew Gale, who put up a new report. He's going to be repping ONG in 1.2 here. And, he had 2 big blocks of 40 common orcs. Okay. Yeah. And I don't remember how he had them armed. It might have been paired weapons. I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. But they just sort of evaporated in the game. And I was watching the battle report and I was like, dear God, what happened to those orcs? And it was like, they got hit by something that was, he was playing, warriors, and they got hit by something that was pretty good, right? It wasn't like, they got super duper crazy flank charged. I think they got hit by a decent unit in the front and maybe a chariot in the side. Yeah. And it was like,
yeah. I mean, there is no elite unit except, I mean, obviously the Iron Orcs, but the Iron Orcs you're paying a pretty penny for them, Yeah. So there's no, we don't have something that's as good as like Chaos Warriors or Sword Masters or something on that note to like keep up with the fight with them,
Sure, and that's fair, but I would my problem with commons right now is that I feel like, and I know I wouldn't want them to be like that. Like I'm down with that. I'm down with their stat line and that kind of thing. I just feel like that you've got 40 of them out there. Now what is my point? Right? Like I feel like they need to get a little more from their mass.
Yeah.
Is my feeling.
To be 100% honest with you, I was looking at lists and playing with lists right now before I got like earlier in the day, and the whole reason I would take a block of 50 orcs is just intimidation.
Sure,
it's just
size of that footprint.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh shit, I don't want to fuck with that. That's a lot of bodies over there." Right. And it's seriously intimidation. Like all the shit that does the heavy lifting would be like the spiders and the characters.
Yep. No, I hear that. And, so LT, you mentioned that your opponent tends to run goblins, right? As I assume that's what he's using as core. So he's got some bow goblins and stuff like that rocking for his core, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And spitting out the mad gets, that kind of thing, which honestly is what, like, I get that. When I look at the core, I'm like, yeah, it's cheap. It's harder to get to that number. But at the same time, like what I get out of it is a lot of shots at a relatively cheap price. I get nets, I get mad gets, if they're cave goblins or whatever, I get, like, there are choices here. I can get, poisonous attacks if I go for forest goblins or something, right? Or whatever.
30% more, sure.
I mean, look, they're expensive, no doubt. But my point is, you've got the point. You've got to burn them, right? Tom, is my point. Like, you've got to spend these points. And, I'm not sure that a skirmishing pack of forest goblins isn't worth it somewhere in some way, like that it couldn't be used in a clever way. I don't know, not, again, looking at this as the total outsider who doesn't, play O's and G's. I that's the best thing I can come up with, is trying something crazy like that. But the goblin mass would be, I'd be grabbing the box of goblins and dumping them on the table. That's what I'd say.
All right.
That's pretty much what he did. I was looking up his list on the battle report, and he actually had a Koopa clone, and then he had an Orc Shaman on a boar, and then 2 more Goblin characters. But for his core, he had 25 Feral Orcs with full command, paired weapons, banner speed, and the Mammoth Stabber. Remember, this is all version 1.1.
Sure.
But that unit was a face melter. Like, I thought my Merc Vets were good. That unit I'm afraid of now. And then he had... 5 Forest Goblin Raiders, and then 30 Cave Goblins, and then another unit of 60 Cave Goblins. And they, the 60 brick had 3 Mad Gits in there, everything with the spear and the shield and the nets. He had 5 Mad Gits all together. It was devastating. A lot of it was devastating. So it was a different style than what ChiHammer plays, but he's more Orc heavy, while my opponent is more Goblin heavy currently. And holy crap, both of them though, both armies. I've never seen anyone just walk over ChiHammer. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All the battle reports I've watched.
What about that tree army?
When you got your ass kicked by elves, that's on you, man. Don't
No.
Hold
it
on.
Was only trees. It was only trees.
They have elf spirits. They come from elves. You should be ashamed.
No,
I punched your opponent and won.
Look, I'm taking ChiHammer's side on this. As somebody who's
elf lover.
No, as somebody who's gotten their teeth kicked down their throat by a Sylvan Elves force that surprisingly was free of Sylvan Elves, couldn't find an elf in that group. All I saw was trees kicking my face in.
It was probably the same guy. It was probably the same guy. It was Phil Carl.
Yep, it was Phil Carl. Yes. Yep.
I'm sorry. They're all painted with the same brush. Knife ears.
Oh man.
Pretty teeth. They smell funny. Nope, not having it.
Look, the only thing I smelled was pine as I was dying. It smelled like I smelled that fresh, clean pine scent as I was getting my skull caved in.
You end up with his leaves on your shit too.
Yeah.
I'm serious, because it's just like his stuff falls off, and he's like, "It's cool if it falls off, man. It makes it look like more branchy."
It became fall in the middle of our game. Look at that. Thanks, man.
Oh man. I actually version 1.1 I played with a unit of cave goblins with 1 fanatic just to kind of watch my rear. I kind of enjoyed that unit, to be honest, because it's cheap enough where it does what it needs to do, but it didn't care if it died or not, and it was a scoring unit.
Right.
My current list for version 1.2 is actually a block of 30 common goblins with bows, because they get the bows and the shields relatively cheap. And then I take 1 goblin character with the Mazazappa bow, and it gives them quick to fire.
Yeah.
And it's a cheap unit that gets to shoot around and hit most things on 5s. It's pretty awesome. And then I really, really, really wish I could play the Forest Goblins. I do, honestly. I just cannot justify the points or the usefulness. You know, I played them way back last year in March when they had a poison banner, and I would take them skirmishing and just fucking throw a shit ton of tomahawks at everybody, and everybody's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yep, 40 tomahawks." You know, and then I was like, "Poison, poison, poison, poison," and I would run them right up in front of somebody because the throwing weapons are quick to fire, so I would run them right in the front of something that's naked, like the dwarven guys, the slayers, the demon sirens or whatever. Just anything that was naked, I would run the fucking Forest Goblins as fast as I can in front of them, fucking throw a shit ton of tomahawks at them, and then they're like, fuck, and they'll peel off like a back row, and then they would charge me, and then I'm like throwing more at them, and they're like, fuck, and then they're in combat, and they're still fucking poisoned, you know?
Yep.
They can't do that shit no more.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my problem. That poisonous attacks for the Forest Goblins just doesn't even apply to the throwing weapons. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. And then the other thing I really liked about the Forest Goblins is the fact that they're Strider in the forest, and they're if you take them as skirmishers, they're going to be stubborn in the forest. So 20 bodies stubborn in the forest. I don't care if you charge me with knights. I don't care if you charge me with anything. It's going to be hard to take out that many bodies usually, you know? So,
although stubborn on a 6 or whatever else happens to be around.
Yeah, but you could make them a roadblock, keep your general in a good range, and they actually become an issue of chaff that's not going to move. You know, I liked all that. It's just I can't justify the points, and I can't justify using them in any reason without the poison spell or banner. So it's just like, eh.
Yep.
Yeah, it's painful to me because, like, if
because you have an entire Forest Goblin.
I do. I do. Like, it's all ready. Like, I'm ready to put it on the table, and it's just like, nope.
Sure. Yep, I get it. You're hey, on the bright side, it's a beautiful army, and look. Like the seasons, all things change, my friend. Don't worry. In time, we'll get there. We'll get there. It's just too cool of a concept, and I don't think we're alone on this. I like if somebody's got the secret code on a sweet Forest Goblin force, drop that down there, man. I want to see it. Like I would love to see somebody's really awesome idea at cracking the Forest Goblin code.
How to make them work. Yeah.
I don't know. 300 points for 20 Forest Goblins with full command, spears and shields, throwing weapons, and the skirmisher formation. You own any forest on that table.
You can only take 20 on skirmish formation.
Right. Yeah. Right. 20. Okay. That's 300 points. Full command.
Okay.
Skirmish formation. Forest Goblins with spears and shields and throwing weapons is 300 points, and you own any forest on the table.
Well, enjoy your 6-inch diameter of board control.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not going to go in the woods or shoot into the woods or something. Like just
it's 12 inches. Shooting weapons are 12-inch range.
No. I'm saying the forest is about 6 inches big on most tables. Like it's not. I'm
just saying 300 points. You can get a fanatic that'll do more damage than the Forest Goblins will. I'm just saying. A fanatic, one.
Yeah.
Like that's 300 points is no joke though for 20 goblins. Like I know you're right. That's not the end of the world. It's not like the backbreaker of numbers, but that's like 14 Iron Orcs or something like that, right? For that amount of points. Because Iron Orcs are 200 points for 10, and then what, 24 for each additional Iron Orc? I think I'm in the right number there.
I'm looking.
26. Okay, 13 Iron Orcs on the rounding error. I'm still going to call 14. And I'm just saying 14 Iron Orcs or 20 Goblins.
Okay, fair, but Iron Orcs aren't your Cortex either, you know? These Forest Goblins.
You got me on that. You got me on that.
These Forest Goblins, and you got to remember, spears are armor piercing and lethal strike against anything mounted, basically. Cav, monsters, chariots. This and standing and shooting, you're looking at 40 shots.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, I used to play them with poison, and I would barely your stand and shoot is already. I don't think you get the -1 for the stand and shoot because it's quick to fire, right? Or you still do.
No, you still. I think you still do. I think it's just with quick to fire, you can.
Doesn't matter what
You
range.
can always stand and shoot. Yeah.
Okay, so your ballistic skill 3. Okay, you normally hit on 4s. Multi-shot makes it 5s. Okay, stand and shoot makes it 6s, and God forbid they're farther than 6 inches away from you, makes it 7s. Okay,
Yeah.
so you got 40 shots. You're looking for 6s. Okay, I'm not good at the math. You're probably gonna hit like I don't know
You're
however
gonna drop
many you
6 of them, and then if you're looking for 7s, you're gonna drop 3 of those.
Okay, and then your strength 3. So you're probably gonna fucking wound whatever's charging at you. Probably like 2 wounds out of your 40 shots.
Well, no, you have 3 hits if you're hitting on 7s.
Well, we're talking
your
6s. We're assuming hitting on 6s in the good world.
Oh, okay, so yeah, you're hitting on 6s. So yeah,
you're probably only doing like a wound or 2. It's not even. It's like, come on, you're just rolling dice for the sake of wasting time.
Yes, you're going to be rolling a lot of dice to achieve not much. Yeah. Again, if those throwing weapons were poisoned, I think then that math shifts back in your favor, right?
And then the other thing that's really cool about the throwing weapons that I used to do was give them with the wilderness, you could boost the strength, and then you could do strength 4 tomahawks. But
all I can hear is just like that. Oh, just like that's what's in my head. You these guys go out hunting.
I guess maybe I'm biased because you're talking to the guy that uses scrappling trappers religiously, and so the idea of having basically 20 of those little bastards with that minus the trapping the forest and the terrain deal. I mean, I'm only paying 80 points for 5 of my guys. Gosh, it's just.
You're paying 80 points for a unit with good, sort of deployment options, right? That also makes a piece of terrain. Like
no,
it's not,
no,
it's not
no, they don't make a piece of terrain.
No, not.
They make it dangerous.
Correct. You didn't let me get my sentence out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That makes a piece of terrain something you have, relative control over. Now I understand if you go run through it later, it can hurt you as well. But dangerous terrain is like a really scary thing, right? Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
And so like you don't go in the woods once it's trapped or the ruins or the whatever it is, right? Because just like things die, your super armored thing just dies, and it's like, oh yeah, just that just died because I rolled a die, So that's the forest goblins aren't doing that. You've got to engage them. If your trappers show up, trap something, and then go run out and chaff and die immediately, they still leave this lasting impression on the board and give you some amount of control, right? And fear.
To be 100% honest with you, LT, I would play them all the goddamn time if the minimum requirement wasn't 20 and then the maximum requirement wasn't 20.
Yeah.
They give you no option there. They're like, you take it skirmishers, you get 20. I actually have a skirmish tray, and Vince has seen it, for fucking 20 wide forest goblins, all right? Or 10 wide, I'm sorry. 10 wide.
Yeah, the 10 wide. Yeah. Well, it's a 20 wide tray, but it's the 10 wide formation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, like if it was if I could take a minimum of 5 to 10 of those guys, I would run them around all the time, throwing fucking tomahawks at whatever the fuck I want.
Spinning around this yardstick.
Oh yeah. Man.
Yeah, but
all right. Well, there you go. Look. Clearly, there's a lot of interest in the forest goblins here. I can't wait to see the comments on this one. I want to see people angrily typing either in defense of or against forest goblins.
Shit, Lord Tremendous, you don't know what you're talking about. Your trappers are 100% better. Shut up. I know they're better. They're mine. But it's just 20 skirmishers just running around. Woo.
I saw that. I saw that when it first came out, when the first fucking version of 9th Age came out to play, and I was like, holy shit, skirmishers with tomahawks. And
I was so excited.
I had that same thought process. And then I was like, the poison banner with this, with that, and then that was the first unit I popped out. If you watch my first videos of T9A, the first unit I popped up, I just used like cave goblins as the proxies until I made some version of a goblin that's different. It just it just kind of took it away, and then they took it away, and they took it away, and now it's kind of to a point where it's like, well, they nerfed it so many times.
Yeah. That's the story of Forest Goblins. Like if you track the development of the Forest Goblins, like how it got introduced initially in T9A, and then it like every single release, it's either like increased points or shifting, like just small tweaks every single time, and it kills my soul.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know that there's that much to talk about with the shooties, because again, like you said, the shooty stuff, the death from above, it is what it is, right? You've got your spears and you got your catapults.
Yeah. The one thing I want to mention, I know I mentioned it a little bit in the beginning, is it doesn't really affect with the bows and the crossbows. And the other thing that I noticed too was it doesn't affect with the one web launcher you get from the spider.
Yep, you can get the web launcher in without it.
That's not a real attack, though.
I mean,
no, it is and it isn't. It's still a template template, but
artillery.
It's still an artillery weapon. I wish you could still take two of them on the spiders. It makes no fucking sense why they won't let you take two, but I mean, you're hitting on fucking fives most of the time. Most of the time. Anyways,
that's not a real attack, as Vince would say.
It's not a real attack. Exactly.
But I understand everybody who was either taking two of them like automatically on the spiders. I would take two of them automatically because it creates the dangerous terrains just really could mess up somebody's day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for the reason we just said, right? Like, yeah, dangerous terrain is freaking scary. It's one of the scariest things in the game. I in many games, I lost more knights to dangerous terrain than I did to the enemy in the first couple rounds of the game, right? Like, that's not unusual. Dangerous terrain is the great killer of brave knights. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, the Git launcher is still what it is. It's fine. They're all fine.
It's not really, because the Git launcher, it used to redirect with a D6, and then you could get back into it. You miss, and the ability to still track back was huge. The Git launcher actually got lowered in points because it doesn't have that ability anymore. You can't go back.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had thought about that. Yep. You
either hit or you don't hit, and then you're gonna try again. You get two chances at hitting, but again, you're hitting on a 5 and 6. You know what I mean? And then the amount of hits isn't D6 anymore. It's D3 plus 1, which that changed a while back. And then the strength, it's not AP6 anymore. And again, that changed a while back. It's only AP2. So,
well, to be fair, it's strength 5, AP2.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're still -4 armor.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's pretty good.
I hit. I'm just saying, there was a game I played where I had Koopa hitting a flank of some Chaos Knights. I hit him with strength 4 AP3, or no, strength 6 AP1. Sorry, the guy made all his armor saves. I'm just saying, it happens.
Sure, it does, but also, I mean, pushing Chaos Knights to a 5-up ain't exactly a bad day. That's come on now.
But it isn't. But it is at the same time. That was the Orcs and Goblins used to have all this force of just destroying armor, just no way to deal with it, and the Git launchers were part of that list. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. Is armor cracking more of a problem for this army in 1.2 now in its current form?
Definitely. There's not many. I mean, you could take obviously an orc general with some crazy strong weapon, great weapon, or whatever, and he'll be able to crack open something. But you're limited on your options. I mean, you still get the trolls. Trolls can still vomit.
Right.
But besides that, everything is roughly strength 5 or under, and that's only going to take -2 armor piercing. You know what I mean?
Yep. Those 1-ups, 2-ups, those if there's enough of that around, it's just you're not going to crack that shell, because I'll agree, pushing them to like a 3-up, that's a joke, right? They're still gonna shrug that off. Like that's not cutting the mustard, certainly.
Yep.
All right, so let's end on something that I know is close to literally everyone's heart who's here, and that is monsters. And we all love different elements of this list for different reasons. Obviously, what we're talking about is your big and nasties, your monsters, your Gargantula, the Great Green Idol, the Giant, right? So, okay. General thoughts. Just start us out, James. General thoughts on this section.
All right. So I'll start off negative, then go positive. All right.
That's fair.
negative is the Great Green Idol is still worthless.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know.
It's still fucking pretty worthless, man.
He's right there, like sitting right there.
He is on
my
his shelf.
shelf.
Yeah.
It has 3 attacks, weapon skill 2. Come on, man. It's like,
That's not where its power's at.
okay, what the freaking? Let's see. All friendly units within gets devastating charge and a +1 wound modifier. You have to
Are
charge
you?
in.
Are you like? Are you? Well, first of all, are you pushing the buff engine, like value of this LT? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, it's a huge, terrifying, potentially BSB, which makes it so that it saves you points out of your character, so you can get another character kitted out properly, or maybe just take an extra one. Who knows? Depends how your points all fall. It is a strength 6, toughness 8, 6 wounds psychopath. Okay, it's got a 4-up armor, which is respectable for an Orcs and Goblins list. It really is. It's ITP. It's got a crush attack. So there's your armor breaker if you're up against the wall. I'm not saying that this is going to be the tip of your spear or anything like that. It's got magical attacks, so it can deal with what's it called?
Ethereal.
Otherworldly or something like that.
Yeah.
Ethereal.
Whatever. Yeah.
But it's the smash 'em flat, and that alone, if it wasn't for my opponent's dice literally being in love with me, the fact that all of them gain devastating charge, and with the amount of models you're putting on the table, and could possibly charge into a combat, devastating charge in an Orc and Goblin unit is game winning, and a +1 to wound when you're using strength 3, strength 4, strength 5 against certain things. The amount of wounds that you're going to be able to do. I mean, we all know there's a huge difference between needing 4s to wound and needing 3s to wound. Math hammer be damned. Y'all know if it's just that 1 +1 to wound, it's like winning Christmas. So.
All right. So I have an immediate.
But is it
thought
worth
about
the
this.
points?
Right. Exactly. I don't disagree with anything you just said. Like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
+1 to wound is massive. I don't disagree. Devastating charge in the right situation is awesome, especially with a pile of bodies getting it. Here's my problems, okay? 1, this dude, yeah, he could be the standard bearer for 540 points. This dude's 10% of your army, right? That's the numbers, okay? Or more if you're on 45.
It's the Great Green Idol. I mean, I pay 480 points just for a Rock who isn't going to give me any rerolls. So.
yeah, but freaking 3D3 strength 7 freaking impact hits is a big difference.
That is a big difference. You're right. It could be 3 to 9 impact hits, which is amazing.
Strength 7.
Oh yeah, no, you're strength 6. You're strength 6. I mean, your weapon skill is shit. I'll give you that. I don't understand the weapon skill 2 at all. But I can't give a unit devastating charge or +1 to wound modify. I pay 60 extra points to give that auto buff. Let me tell you. No, I pay for
to the
Rufus.
units within 8 inches.
Yeah,
8.
and it's a 100 by 100 millimeter base, so that is a big area. That is a big radius.
I call shenanigans. It's a big table. 8 inches. That's combat. Like, if I'm like, sure, okay, great. The problem is that dude cannot operate alone.
No,
like, yeah, he's
the Great Green Idol.
Yeah, he can't operate alone.
I don't believe it's meant to.
Other units.
Right. But that's just it. He's a super expensive buff wagon that's got to follow around another unit. Because if he ever gets into anything alone, he's broken it immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's going to happen when you get charged by like some cheap chaff or some cheap 5-unit cavalry? You can't stop them, and your weapon skill 2 is going to fucking whiff. All right? And what's going to happen? You're just going to run because you got flanked. Not stubborn.
Yeah, he's not stubborn. That's the problem.
I could get there. I
can run on the turn of a dime.
Stubborn. I don't know. In my experience against this thing, it was pretty rough. I got lucky that my opponent's dice really turned on him, and yeah, it was something else. And the fact that it's got the D6 stomps and stuff like that. It didn't affect me because I'm ogres, but I watched him play another guy who's playing infantry.
Super scary against those guys. Yeah. No, that's my point. Like, I remember you played this, like I don't know if it was the last game or the 2 games ago when you played this dude. He brought the Great Green Idol into one of your units. It did about nothing. And then you beat it through combat res and ran it down. And I was like,
It ran into my mercenary veterans who were already into a unit of Cav, and I rolled more lethal strikes than I should have.
sure.
But no, I was thrilled with that.
But that's
yeah.
10% of his army that you cut down with. Nah.
With my mercenary veterans? Are you kidding?
You were fighting another unit.
You
accidentally
cut it
got
down.
the lethal strike. Yeah, you didn't intentionally kill that
did
dude.
it.
Yeah, you
No,
didn't allocate any resources.
This is true. I'm not. You're right. It does need some boosting. I'm not going to argue that at all. I'm just. I could see using it. I could see its purpose. I could see it, especially if I wanted to throw more points towards characters. This gives me a BSB with a decent range. Because again, 100 by 100 millimeter base, that gives me much more than 12 inches. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's not a towering presence model. But maybe that helps out with taking shots because it's only got a 4-up armor. But I just
here's the difference to me though, is it's a 40-point difference between him versus the Gargantula. Gargantula gets at least 16 attacks.
Oh, I'm not arguing at all that the Gargantula is better than the Great Green Idol. Don't you dare put that evil on me. I love the Gargantula. That thing scares the hell out of me. And if I played Orcs and Goblins, I'd cheat and bring 3. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. That the problem here is that it's in a book sitting underneath the Gargantula,
It's
right?
competing with the Gargantula.
Yeah. And I look at that and I'm like,
Point
oh
for
yeah,
point.
the Gargantula is an 8 wound model. The Gargantula is,
Weapon skill 4.
toughness 6, which is going to get you there. As like in a lot of cases, T6 and T8 are going to be the same number. Not every case, but in a lot of cases, it's going to be the same number to wound. It's actually weapon skill 4 for its attacks. It's faster. It's strider. It's swift stride. It's stubborn. It's like this thing does a lot.
So what you're saying, Vince, is that we effectively, by doing this show, are nerfing the Gargantula for the next go around.
Yeah. I told you I plead the fifth.
No, because I think the Gargantula is fairly costed. That's my point.
Yeah.
Like he does what he's supposed to do for his points. He makes sense.
He'll
I don't know
earn his
what
points back.
I don't know what the role is of the Great Green Idol. That's the problem.
The Great Green Idol is never gonna swing 500 points back.
This
he's
not.
I can't get there. I can't get there.
I'll try it out. Okay, I'll try it out in a couple games. All right, but at the same time, the one thing I did want to point out as a positive note for the Great Green Idol is the fact that catapults have been nerfed generally down around everywhere, where they're only strength 7 now. So him being tough 8, it makes it a lot harder to wound him on a catapult shot.
That's true.
Cannons will still kind of fuck him up, but at the same time, he's not a towering presence model. But at the same time, again, it's like, I don't know. It's
your semi-useful thing is harder to kill with those war machines. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a sticky wicket for me because here's the thing. I want to love this model, and I think this is where you're at, Lord LT, because it's an awesome model. It's an awesome concept. Right? Like the idea of this thing, and it's like some elements of it are so good that you want it to be good because you see those awesome elements and you're like, this is a cool idea. This is a cool concept. It's doing some cool things. I don't get it. But yet somehow it just doesn't come together, right?
It's subpar.
Yeah. But I'm with you, man. I want to see this thing rock the juke because I think it's the cool, like,
hey, I have a fully painted one on my shelf.
You do.
I've seen it in combat. I've seen, what the potential was if my opponent's dice had just rolled average. Again, it's a dice game. It happens, but it's that devastating charge and +1 to wound modifier. No, this thing cannot, hold its own in combat. You're not going to charge it into a brick and go, this was a good idea. No, even at toughness 8, you're right. You're gonna pop to combat res. But it's just, if you can get it in there, for example, your feral orcs. Oh my God, that's the kind of stuff nightmare. Your feral orcs and the Great Green Idol, I cannot think of a matchup where that's going to go against you. Even if you roll like shit, your feral orcs and the Great Green Idol in the same combat is points in your pocket. Is it going to win you the game, by itself? No, but dear God, you've got any attack that anything throws at this thing.
The devastating charge is pretty awesome. Devastating charge is the +1 attack, or is it the +1 strength?
Devastating charge is +1 attack.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Because I was gonna say the +1 wound modifier really doesn't matter because most of the time, Ed Bashers are wounding on 2s most of the time.
But the
Sometimes
Savage Orcs aren't, right? Sorry, the Ferals aren't, right? I mean, the Ferals with paired weapons like that +1 to wound is a big deal.
yeah, I'm saying if I see it making sense on like how we're talking now that the Ed Bashers are kind of nerfed, where there's just too little of the bodies. Taking a block of 50 Feral Orcs spears, you know what I mean, and then charging them in with this guy, and then adding that +1 wound modifier on them. I can see that. That's a world of difference.
If you can get them both in the same target, all you need is like a really good lineup and like 18 inches of free space because you've got
they don't have to be in the same target. He just has to be within 8 inches of them.
No,
he's got to be in combat.
He's got to be engaged in combat, and then everything within 8 inches of him have get either devastating charge or +1 wound, and you can choose for each unit that's within range.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is getting it into the same combat with infantry shouldn't be too difficult because it's faster than infantry, and it also benefits from the warg if you call it.
Yeah.
So,
but you can easily get that thing tied up in terrain, like because if you're trying to angle like that, if it has to be in combat, you could marginalize that with good positioning.
My fear is getting it chaffed because you're trying to move what's potentially a horde brick of Feral Orcs and this massive thing because he's on that giant 100 mil. Like, it's going to be really easy for any kind of chaff to stop some part of that from happening.
Well, not only that, but everybody's going to just chaff your freaking horde.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I love the idea. If both of those come in, I agree. Boom goes the dynamite. Like, sure. Yeah, absolutely. A group of Feral Orcs with those buffs are going to blow something up.
You need like the freaking eternal, or is that the fucking what the hell am I thinking about? The solstice fucking going off.
The super moon.
Yeah,
super moon. All right. So let's close it out here. Final thoughts.
Wait. That was just a negative.
I'm sorry. Positive. No, I apologize.
Yeah.
Positive.
I know the show's been running on too long, man.
No, you're fine.
And my battery's dying on my phone
too. This is an epic show. Are you kidding?
My phone's dying too, man. All right, sorry. My phone. I can't plug it in. I'm like on the wrong side. All right. Anyways, positive. You can still play 2 Gargantulas, which is awesome. Gargantulas are great. Like we were talking about, it has 16 attacks, 8 from the spiders, 8 from the goblins. One of them is an ordnance attack, poison attacks. All of that's great. Strider, stubborn, swift stride, all that's great. The web launcher is still awesome. One thing I've been playing with the 4,500 point list is actually trying to still do a monster mash by taking 1 Gargantula and 2 giants. Normally I don't play the giants, but that's why I got this guy. I got this guy here to be a second giant because it adds more wounds for the point cost. Having that very limited amount of big and nasty point cost. So you also get a ward save, but it's like, the ward save is a 6-up. It's not going to do much. You might get lucky. And then, the giant still has some good stuff with him, It still causes a threat, and it still causes target saturation. So that's kind of how I've been playing, is just target saturation. People have to figure out what the hell they're going to shoot at. Spider, one of the giants, in general.
No, I agree. That does make it like, and I that's an interesting spread. I kind of like that. I like the idea of having the 2 giants because the way they can roam and threaten there. I think that's an interesting play. And it's like, given the size of their bases versus one of the problems with the Gargantula is how big he is to move around. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Whereas those giants are much more, they can sort of thread those needles a lot easier, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Like I think like LT, you've been swinging around with with a giant here recently, right?
Yeah, with the slave giant. Yep.
Yeah, and yours has the advantage of being able to re-roll on that table, which is
it's the best giant in the game. Yeah.
Pretty nice. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to drop him though because I'm gonna have to start playing with the Chicago Rock. And
Absolutely. Exactly. The Chicago Rock.
by the great Lord Sylvia. So yeah.
Sylvia. Oh no, I haven't heard that since first grade.
All right. So now, yes, it is long. All right, and I have an early meeting. But anyways, final thoughts.
Don't we
What do you
all?
got? Hit me. James, start us off. What final thoughts on
What the hell, man? Why are you always making me start off?
Because you're the guest, and that's what guests do. Welcome to the special honored position of having the blessing and the curse of needing to lead the conversation.
Oh man. Final thoughts. I'm still gonna obviously still play my ONG. I haven't been 100% on board with the 1.2. I've expressed my frustration with LT here, but you know, I'm gonna come up with something. Obviously, I'm gonna come up with something that I'm gonna like and do, and that's kind of like how I play it with my games. I just play, and whatever doesn't work, I replace it and try something else that does. You know.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. It can be a good, like, whatever the state that they're currently in, I don't think anybody really can say on an objective evaluation, because nobody has played enough games and against all the other armies in 1.2 to really know. People might feel they're here or they're there, but it's hard to say that with 100% assurity. But the goal is, I think you just said the exact right thing. Don't just think it and math hammer it like I'm doing right now, because I'm doing the wrong thing. Actually put it on the table, play it, and, you know, try some different combinations, break out, try those different units, run Lord Tremendous's ridiculous 20 skirmishing block of poisonous blah, 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 blah thing he said. And maybe it will be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you'll be like, Vince was a moron. Lord T is once again our messiah who leads us to truth.
And if it does turn out to be that, you better believe at Adepticon, I'm going to rub it in your face. I'm going to find Crow and make you eat it.
I actually was playing with a list. Like I said, I played a couple UB games, and I was playing with a list, and I had like an extra 200 points, and I was like, "What the fuck do I take with 200 points?" And I was like, I didn't want to take one war machine because it was just such an odd man out, you know, because I didn't have any war machines. So I made a orc chariot character, and it was so random that I just made this character. He had nothing special on him. He was just a character that had a 1-up armor on a chariot, right? So I couldn't come up with a name, and I was like, this guy's the random character. So I changed his name to Rando Calrissian.
Nice. I love that you went for the name Rando, as I have done the same thing before with characters. When I can't think of a name, I was like, his name's Rando. I swear to God, I've used that same name. I love it.
He was the best character in the story.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Awesome. LT, any closing thoughts?
No, a lot like what ChiHammer said. I'm not on board with everything that happened on 1.2, and I'm voicing that with the higher ups. Hopefully they learn from this. I believe they are. I believe they're going to start adding things in the next upcoming additions and revisions and stuff like that, and bringing back some versatility and stuff like that. At least that's what I'm being led to believe, and they could be lying to me, but I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so.
You dumb Americans believe this.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. And, you know, one day ChiHammer will be over there again. And as long as we can get Blondebeard drunk enough that he can't fight, I'm pretty sure he can take him. So I think we're good there.
I think I just got to go for his knees, but then he might fall on me, and we're both fucked.
I don't know. You try getting him drunk for like really, really drunk, and maybe
he doesn't get drunk. What are you talking about? He drinks for a living.
Yeah, I was just saying he works.
That's right.
At a place that makes beer.
Yes,
that's his living. They
give him models. Give him models. Maybe that'll work.
Maybe just distract him.
Just distract him.
Sprues. Then you just come in and Terry Tate him from the side.
Hit him with a bus. Yeah. I broke the bus, and he seems to be fine.
Tom, any closing thoughts, buddy?
Please fix Force Goblins.
There you go. I couldn't think of a better thing to end on. We all await the day for the glorious Forest Goblin tide to emerge from their deep woods.
Fix Forest Goblins, fix Savage Orc Boar Boys, and fix that Green Idol.
There you go. I feel we've registered our feelings. But as always, we want to know what you think. Put it down in the comments. But most importantly, as LT said, if you've got thoughts, feelings, if you're playing it and you've got feedback, go to the Ninth Age site. Go to the forums, talk about it, register it, start a discussion, be constructive about it, be positive. People listen. This is a community-driven game. People are listening. They want your feedback. Don't be silent when you could be making the game better. There's no reason for you not to make the game better. That's what we're all here to do. So there you go. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. LT, thank you for joining. And of course, ChiHammer, sir, an absolute honor and a pleasure. It is wonderful to have you on. You're going to come back again in the future. If you're not subscribed to both of these gentlemen, which I've got to imagine if you're watching right now, you are. But if you're not, their channels will be linked below. Don't be a fool.
The hell are you doing with your life?
Subscribe. Exactly. What are you doing?
The hell are you
with your
watching
life?
if you're not watching us or Vince?
Exactly.
And Vince only does this once a week. I mean, I don't know.
These guys can't stop making battle reports. They're both addicted to it. It's like some kind of sick obsession.
My pick of the week is go to my Patreon.
I love it. And for everybody out there, thank you for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday.